Okay, so I'm going to try to make this quick. We're going to learn how to graph a circle. We're going to look at our general equation that I got fixed already. The general equation of a circle looks like this, okay? Where I know there's a lot of variables in there, okay? But in this case, the only variables are really x and y. H and K are considered to be fixed points, okay? So they would just be numbers. You would just see numbers like this in there, right? So H and K stand for two numbers you have in there that are fixed and they don't move around. And X and Y are the variables that actually change. So a circle that has this equation would have a center of HK. And so notice that it looks negative there, and now it's positive. And it looks negative in here, but now it's positive. So what that means is whatever number you see here or here, to get its coordinate in the center, you have to change the sign of it, right? And I hope you notice that H happens to be, I mean, let's look at this. These are x, y coordinates of a point, right? X and y, just like the x and y coordinate plane we're looking at right now, all right? So x is the number that comes in with H, all right? H, see? And so this number that we have in here, if I wanted to find the center of this equation, since we see the negative H comes out looking like positive H, I have to change the sign of this number if I want to find its coordinate for the center. So the center for this equation has to be -2, okay? And now I have to change the sign of this number also. Okay, that's going to be the way that I find the coordinate for K right here. So, in this case, I change the sign of -3 to this +3. So this is my center. It's the point -2 in X and 3 in Y. So I go to -2 in X, and then I go up to 3. Okay, and that's my center, this point right here. Okay, you might be wondering, what does this R squared stand for up here, okay? This R squared stands for the radius, okay? So the radius in this case is the square root of R squared, which we'll just call R, okay? So just try to remember the number you're looking at isn't R, it's R squared. We have to take the square root of it first, and then we can get the radius. So for our radius, we're going to take the square root of this number right here. And what do you see? We see 4. So what's the square root of 4? Let me clean this up so you can look at the equation again. What's the square root of 4? You get 2. So that means the radius of our circle is 2. So that means the distance from the center to the edge is 2. So I can easily count up, down, left, and right in our rectangular coordinates. And since our coordinates are rectangular, I really can't count 2 in any other direction just by eyeballing it. All right? I would need a compass if I wanted to find out exactly how far along 2 is in this plane. So go ahead and draw a circle going through those points, and you have your graph. I'm going to let the computer draw it for you so you can see what it looks like when it's perfect, okay? It should look just like that. I'm going to let it sneak up on you a little bit. It should be centered at -2 and +3. I'll make that a little more visible. -2 and +3, because we changed the sign. So notice -2, change from there, and we have +3 from that. The radius isn't 4, it's 2. It's the square root of that. So let's do another example. So the cool thing about conic sections is that they all work the same way. So even if we're doing a hyperbola or our ellipse, we still have to do the same formula for the center anyway. So the center is HK. So I'm going to take this sign and change it into -3. And then we're going to change this into +1. Okay, so just remember to change the sign of the numbers you see right here. Okay, that's your Y coordinate, and this is your X coordinate. Okay, change the sign. I have a lot of people asking, wait, does that mean if it's positive I change it to negative? Yeah, that's what change the sign means. And if it's negative, do I change it into a positive? Yes. That's exactly what you do. And that's what we did here, okay? So we go negative 3 in x and positive 1 right there. And then to get our radius, we know r equals the square root of the number we see here, 4. Square root of 4 is 2. So again, we have another circle with radius 2. I go up, left, right, and down. If I'm doing this by hand, and I'm going to draw a circle like that, you can get the computer to draw it. And if you've got a nice hand, you can make it look pretty round and nice like that, okay? So I'm going to need to regenerate some more problems for us. So here we go. Let's try another one, okay? Let's just look at the answer real fast and kind of talk about this in case you're a little lost, okay? So let's just look at this equation and how it works. Let's look at the center, okay? Where's the center? The x coordinate is at 3, isn't it? And the y coordinate is at negative 4. So let's look at that, okay? The center is at 3, negative 4. Well, look, the number in here with x, that was negative. And look now, it's positive. And look, this number right here, 4, with y, okay, our y coordinate, it was positive, and now it's negative. So if you want to find the center, just change the sign of this number and that number, and you have the center. Positive 3, negative 4. And then to get the radius, we had to take the square root of this number. And what's the square root of 9? It's 3. So let's count our radius. 1, 2, 3. We see that it goes 3 in every direction. Up, down, left, right, and also in these directions too, because it looks pretty circular, doesn't it? Okay? So this is the way to do these problems. I hope you guys are analyzing it all and everything. But it's really, people are usually tell me, that's it? That's all you do? Yes, that's it. That's all you do. Okay, this is just the first counted section, so we'll see if you say the same thing when we get to hyperbolas. So go ahead and find the center. We got positive 3 and negative 3. Okay, we just changed the sign of those. All right, and now we go to positive 3, negative 3. Put it right there. And then now we find our r. Okay, this is our center, right? And our r is the square root of the number we see for r squared. That's 16. And so we get 4. So I'm going to go up, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to go to the right, 4. I'm going to go to the left, 4. And down 4. And I'm going to try to draw a circle freehand, even though it won't look that great. Okay? So just go for it. Make sure it goes to those points. And in the end, you should have something that looks just like that. All right? So let's go ahead and move on to something. We got bigger fish to fry. Okay, we gotta learn how to graph ellipses. And these are shapes that are going to look just like this. Okay. They have a center in a way, but it's not the same kind of center that you're used to seeing, okay? Because the distance isn't the same. It's not the same everywhere. We have to count different directions and different dimensions. So let's try to do the next problem, okay? So the first step is to find the center, and like I told you, the good news is that it works exactly the same. We change the sign of that number, I get negative 4. And then people get kind of stuck, okay, but let's look at this. If it was y minus k squared, and that's what gives us this, and if I say I put y minus 0, then what's y minus 0? Isn't that just y? So I got y squared. So if you see y squared, that means k is 0. So I'm going to go ahead, clean this up real quick, and we're going to put in, for y coordinate, we're going to put 0, okay? So we're going to go to x equals negative 4, and we got 0. So now we're going to count off in blue, okay? How far do we go in our x dimension, okay? Let's look at the standard form of this equation real quick, okay? So it starts off looking the same way. But it equals 1 now, okay? They're always going to be equal to 1 on this side. So notice that. There's a 1 there. Okay, so I showed you how to get the center just because that was something that we've done before. Okay, our center was the same as in the last problem for the circles. Now, what we also have to do is count two different directions. Okay, I'm going to put this one in red so you guys can kind of stick with me. So, in the blue direction, we're going to go left and right. Okay, so this is the number that tells us how far left and right to go. Okay, so in this case, we're going to go left and right A. Okay, we're supposed to go to the left and right A units. So what you have to do is write A. Okay, and try to remember that that's going to pull us left to right. Okay, so this is going to be our left and right axis of our ellipse. Okay, we're going to find out how big does that have to be. Okay, so to get A, you have to get the square root of A squared, right? And what's A squared in this case? We look over here, right? Because look, A squared is the number underneath X minus H. So we see 4, so I'm going to put 4 in. And we've been studying the square root of 4 is 2, right? You know that. So that means that this left and right axis should only be 2 long. Okay, I'm going to fix that so it looks a little more legit on the axis. So we got 1, 2, 1, 2. And in the up and down dimension, we're going to need our b. Okay, you don't use b squared, but use the square root of that. So b is, in this case, the square root of 36. And I'm going to get 6. So I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to draw my ellipse. That looks pretty good, but it's not perfect like the computer can do. Okay, so you go just like that, and that's it. Okay, that's all you do. I'm going to go ahead on my test. Don't worry about getting the foci, and I know I left that out, but for now we're just worrying about graphing these and get them on there. Don't worry about the foci for today. All right, so let's do another one. So we'll change the center, change the sign of 5 to negative 5, and change the sign of negative 6 to positive 6. So I'm going to go to negative 5, positive 6, right there. And like I said, A is the square root of 4, and that's going to pull me left to right because it comes with X, right? So we go, square root of 4 is 2. So I'm going to go to the right 2 and to the left 2. And then now, in this case, it looks like there's no b, but since we're dividing by 1, technically, b is the square root of 1. And the square root of 1 is 1, right? 1 times 1 is 1. So that means I go up 1 and down 1, right? And so I got a little ellipse this time. All right, you should have something that looks just like that, but if you caught it before I clicked off, okay, it should look just like that. Here's your ellipse. Let's try another one on your own. Why don't you try to grab this one and see if you could do it by yourself, all right? And press pause. And so let's see if you did it right. Okay, you should get your center at negative 1 and 5. You should be going up and down 1 because underneath here we have a 1. And don't do 36 left and right. Go 6, the square root of 36, left and right. So that's 6 because it's the square root of this one. Alright, so that's the best way I could show you quickly today. I got to get going, guys. So, see you later.